Hello everyone and welcome to today's Teen Try It. Today we are going to make a fandom jar, or these are also known as fairy lights. But for us, we're not going to do fairies, we're going to do our own little fandom. So to get started, you will need your mason jar, a little cup of glue, a paintbrush of some kind, big or small, although big will probably be a little bit easier to work with, your candle. In this case, we're using fake candles, some tissue paper, and of course, your silhouette objects. Now, if you pre-registered for this program and gave me your preferred fandom, you have a printout like I do, which is actually made of vinyl. If you did not give me yours ahead of time, then you have black construction paper in your kit, and you can cut out your own symbol or your own image, your own silhouette to put inside your jar, and I'll show you at that point how to attach it to the inside of the jar. So the first thing you're going to do is take your top off, and your top is actually in two pieces, so make sure you keep both pieces together. And you are going to place your image on the jar like this. Now in this case, we're going to put it on the inside of the jar, so this might get a little tricky. This is the first time I'm trying this as well, so if it doesn't work on the inside, we may have to pull it out and pop it on the outside. In my case, I have two symbols I'm going to work with. Some of you will only have one, so you want to pick a good side for it. You can see here on the jar there's a little seam, so I'm going to pick the side without the seam, nice and clear there, and nice and, well, not flat, but nice and clear. So the first step you're going to do is on your vinyl, there's a clear top coat, and you're going to pull that off with your sticker. Now, if it doesn't stick right away, that's okay. You may need a little, I have a little smoother, but you can use a credit card or something, and just kind of run it over so that the top part sticks to your design, and you'll see it comes right off the white paper then. Okay, if you have little pieces to your design, you'll see I have little pieces up here. You may have to go over them with the card a couple of times as well. So we're going to peel that off, put the paper to the side. Now, in the future, if you're ever doing this and you have words in your silhouette, when you print it out, you want to make sure that you do your words backwards, because we're going to put this on the inside. So if I were to do it this way on top of the jar, my words would be going in the right direction. But because I'm putting it on the inside of the jar with the sticky part facing up, if I had words on here, they would be backwards. So you want to make sure that when you print out your words, they are the mirror image of what you actually want it to look like. In this case, because of my symbol, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to fold this in half and try to position it exactly where I want it, as straight as I can get it, and put it on the inside of my jar. And this is going to be a little tricky because it is so sticky. Come on. Actually going to fold this a little bit so it's not quite as unwieldy. Go, let's try that again. You can always use some scissors and trim it as well. That'll work too. Alright, that was much easier to do. And then we're going to stick it to the inside of the jar. And you'll see mine's a little crooked, but that's okay. Now, once you stick your vinyl down, it's very possible that you won't be able to move it again because the vinyl is very sticky, so just be careful of where and how you're placing things. And you just want to get your hand in there and place your vinyl down as hard as you can. Make sure it's stuck the whole way. And then you're going to peel your plastic piece off like that. And now you have your symbol on the inside. And you can see mine's a little crooked. Nothing's ever perfect, but that's okay. If you have smaller hands, you may be better at this than I am. So if you don't have vinyl and you're using the black paper, what you're going to do is you're going to cut out your symbol, and you're going to take one side and you're actually going to glue one side of it and then stick it in your jar with the glue side facing the outside like this, like we did with the vinyl. You're just going to do it with glue. Okay, so I'm going to put my other side on here. And you can see right there, I lost half of it. So you gotta press it down a little bit. Come on. And this is where you can see if you have small pieces, you gotta just kind of get one edge of it to stick, and then the rest will peel up. This is especially important if you have a design with eyes, because some of you, I know your fandom symbol has little pieces or has eyes in it. So you want to make sure that you're rubbing down the symbol so that it sticks to the clear paper on top. Once again, I'm going to fold this in half a little bit so it's a little bit smaller and I can work with it a little easier. Now, let's see if I can get this one in straight this time. Okay, here we go. And because your jar is curved, it might take a little finagling to get your whole symbol flat and looking good. But again, you want to make sure all your pieces are down and stuck to the jar. And then you can pull the clear paper off, like so. So now I've got the Empire on one side and the Rebellion on the other. All right. Okay, so our next step is going to be to put the tissue paper on. Okay, so we're gonna move our candle and things out of the way. And this will be just like we did with our bank project a couple weeks ago. We're gonna take our glue and we are going to paint the outside. So eventually what we're going to do is put the tissue paper on, and you are going to have a seam from the tissue paper. So you want to make sure that the seam is not over your design. So since I have two designs, I'm actually going to put mine on the side over here. So I'm going to start on the side and cover my whole section of the jar with glue. And you want to make sure you're not doing the lip, because we do still want to be able to get the top on. So we're going to do that. And then you take your tissue paper, do this like this, and you're going to put it on like that. And it's okay if it's a little wrinkly or not perfect, you can kind of play with it after the fact. Okay? But then you're going to go and cover the whole jar. And if you think your glue's a little thick, you can always add some water to it. That's not a problem. You're gonna have a lot of extra tissue paper, so don't be alarmed about that either. That's why we gave you a whole sheet. And if it tears, also okay. You can futz that out with the glue a little bit. And just like decoupage, you can go over the tissue paper too, like I did right there. It just kind of keeps it down. And in this case, gives it a little bit of oomph to it. There we go. You're going to get a little sticky. And go ahead and wrap it all the way around. So at this point, I've come all the way around my jar, so I'm going to cut my tissue paper. And we'll get to the bottom in a minute. You're going to put a little glue down so you can put the seam down. there's an overlap there. Okay, but you want to make sure your whole thing is covered. And if you like, you can go over the whole thing again. That just kind of smooths it down, gives you a chance to go around the top there, get the edges to stick. Again, if it rips, that's okay. We're just going for a little bit of a coverage. So you see I ripped mine a little bit there, but it's okay. We can straighten it out a bit. And there we go. So now to do the end, we want to trim our tissue paper. You don't want to trim it all off because we do want to cover the bottom. So you're just going to cut a bit off. And then what we're actually going to do is kind of go in a curve. So you're going to put some glue on the bottom, like so. And then you push it down like this. And if you fold it, so if you kind of fold it like this, then you'll get a nice curved jar as well. Again, this is not an exact science. You kind of find the way that works best for how you're doing it, and you work from there. Okay, so we got a nice bottom going here. All nice and covered. And we're just gonna give that a little bit to dry. So we'll actually, you can see I've got some glue along the top here. I wanna try and get that off if I can, so that when we put the top back on, it doesn't get stuck. And it's at this point too that if you wanna add some embellishments to your jar, you can do that as well. If you have glitter, you can add glitter to the outside. You can add string or ribbon to it if that goes with your fandom. If there's stickers or other symbols you want to add to the top, you can do that as well. But basically this is the whole thing. We've now made our fandom jar, and I'm gonna wait for this to dry a little bit longer. May take a little bit. I'm actually just gonna put mine down so we can put our candle in and you guys can see the finished product. But you can add whatever you'd like to it. When you want to pop your candle in, there is a little plastic bit at the bottom. You got to pull that out. And these candles are activated by twisting. So you just twist it to turn it on, pop it in, and pop the top back on. And there you have your fandom light. And what I'll do is I'll go find a dark place and turn it on so you guys can see the silhouette aspect of it as well. Okay, but have fun, make it your own, do whatever you can to give it some of your own style, add some things from your fandom, and have fun.